up real quick. Real quick, you guys. This thing on? All right. We're gonna halfway clown on this one, you guys. But it is a good way to check my microphone out. Since I do plan on bringing, Blackistand Radio back. Test this mic out, have some fun, kill some time, which I only have a little bit to kill. If you hear anything in the background, that's the coming from the laundry room. I'm drying some clothes. It doesn't make me gay. But there is a lot of cap going on when it comes to this topic, right? Now let me start off by saying this. Um, of course, I don't think any reasonable brother out there, especially those who were responding to my post, implied that a boy playing with a kitchen set makes him gay. Like, I don't even think that that's even been brought up as a reason. No, of course, it's not just for men to, or for women to cook or clean, which wasn't even a part of the topic. So I think what's going on is a lot of projection of what you think the reason for most men who are saying, we're cool. I think a lot of women are thinking that us saying that means that we think only women should be in the kitchen. That's not what we're saying. I think that us saying that makes some women think that it means that only certain things are reserved for women, which cooking and cleaning. No one has said that I've seen, at least. And I haven't seen anyone say that it's going to make you gay, right? And basically, a lot of what I'm saying is because the reason seems to be, right, like the biggest reason I'm seeing for females saying, hey, yeah, yo, let them play with the kitchen set is because the top men are chefs. The top chefs are men. And it's going to teach them how to be a chef. And I'm just saying, like, yo, did it teach you how to cook? If it didn't, right? Um, don't you think the best way to learn how to cook would be to actually learn how to cook? You know what I'm saying? So if the top men are chefs and they didn't learn how to cook by playing with a kitchen set, by default, we should be the authority on what's going to make these boys be chefs. We're just saying that playing with kitchen sets probably isn't the route. If that's the reason why you're saying. Now, if you're just saying you want them to play with it because it's just a toy, that's cool. Because there's really no wrong, right? There's no wrong answer to this. I'm not implying that you should or shouldn't. I'm not saying that. It's just saying we're just saying that most men gravitate towards a no. Not all, but most men gravitate towards a no for boys playing with kitchen sets because just because. Whatever the reason, it's not misogyny, right? So a lot of cap is going on in this conversation. You go from a lot of y'all are going from it's gonna the Gordon Ramsay makes a lot of money and he's a chef. Okay, cool. Is there any evidence that Gordon Ramsay became a chef from playing with kitchen sets? Did you, as a woman, learn how to cook by playing with the kitchen set? If not, then why don't we just kill that part of the argument? Because I don't understand what the cap is about, really. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of weird. And I don't even really know if there's an influx of boys wanting kitchen sets or if this is just something that just kind of artificially have been put into the equation, right? And to imply that men are misogynistic for having their own opinion or mistrust for women. It's a form of sexism used to keep women at a lower social status than men. I don't understand how saying that we would rather not our little boys play with kitchen sets. I don't understand how that's a hatred towards women. So it's like these arguments are so superficial, projecting, and it's kind of like, it's like you're implying that we're saying that there's a certain kind of gender role and we don't like these gender roles and we don't want our boys cooking or cleaning. No, we're saying that, like, if that's your reason, why don't you just teach them how to cook? Like, you don't buy your kid an operation set and say, we're about to turn out a bunch of surgeons in this bitch. You don't do that, right? You don't say, hey, we're playing Monopoly and that's going to make him a business-minded individual. You don't. You have to do practical things. So I'm just saying, like, if that's the reason, let's just keep it real. But if we want to talk about gender roles, let's talk about gender roles, okay? Because I don't really think there's anything wrong with gender roles, even though they're not always going to be, delegated to this and that. There's always going to be crossing over of gender. Some women have warrior spirits, and they're going to do things sometimes that are more typically a male-oriented or dominated field. It just happens. Doesn't mean that they're gay, right? So what I'm saying is this. So if you want to talk about gender roles, let's think about how gender roles have actually been established over time, going back to the primitive days of Stone Age and whatever, the ancient times. Gender roles kind of became a thing because back in the day, before technology, if you wanted to eat without growing food, you would have to go and hunt. If you wanted to live in a home, you would have to know how to build a home, which took a lot of laborious, it was very laborious to do so. It took a little bit more strength, especially if you had to quarry stones to build a structure. If you had to cut trees in the midst of wild animals and you had to be able to protect yourself from that and have the strength to do these things, it was just something that made more sense because men are typically stronger for men to do. And the women would cook the food and they would be at home, more safely in securing the kids. That's kind of how these gender roles kind of came to be. So of course with technology, of course now you can cross over certain things to a certain degree, but generally speaking, yes, we have gender roles, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with the little boy playing with the kitchen set if that's what he wants to do. I'm not implying that it's gay. I don't even think anybody that's responded to my post, any brothers on there said it was gay. We didn't say it was gay. We didn't say that men shouldn't cook. We didn't say that men shouldn't clean. We didn't say anything like that. These are like what you're projecting are not agreeing as being. You're projecting that us not agreeing and us maybe that's not just our thing as we hate women because you said misogyny, or we don't think boys should cook or clean. We're not saying that. We're saying that if your reason, which seems to be the biggest reason, is that there are top chef cooks that are men, and most of the best cooks are men, and they make a lot of money. If that's your reason and you're implying that them playing with kitchen sets is going to turn them into chefs, we're saying that's probably not the case. So if that's your reason, try again. Like you could actually just teach them how to cook in the kitchen for real. Because sizzling plastic, bacon on a plastic stove isn't going to teach them how to cook. Go in the kitchen with them and teach them how to cook. I don't think there's any evidence that, any of these top chefs became great or started off with kitchen sets. Because as I've said, which has been ignored on the post, is a lot of y'all women can't cook. Yeah, a lot of y'all are microwave masters. You heat up food in the microwave. You don't really know how to deal with the stove for real. And disproportionately, it's more likely y'all played with the kitchen sets than we did. So how are men or boys turning out to be the best chefs? And historically, we didn't play with kitchen sets, and y'all that been playing with the kitchen sets aren't the best chefs. This is your own words. This is what I'm hearing from women, is that men are the best cooks and that chefs disproportionately, the great chefs are men. So if that's the case and they didn't use a kitchen set, then why are you capping like the kitchen set is going to make these boys great chefs and great cooks? That's what I'm saying. That's all we're really saying. You know what I'm saying? And just typically that's just not a role. Like it's okay for us to have disagreements, right? That's okay. It doesn't make us misogynistic. It doesn't mean that we're implying that these kids are going to become homosexuals because they play with a kitchen set. I don't think anybody's ever said that. It's just interesting that these reasons for why the women are saying We should do this. And is this really something is this really a thing? Like, are boys really saying, I want a kitchen set, mommy? Because I know when I was a child, a kitchen set wouldn't even been on the radar of something that I wanted. I would want a racetrack, some toy guns, a video game. I would want all kinds of different things. And a kitchen set wouldn't even been on there. You know what I'm saying? And if it was, I don't think it would have made me a better cook. So what we're saying is, hey, yo, we don't agree with that. And us not agreeing with that doesn't mean now you have to use these feminist talking points about how we hate women and we're homophobic and we're trying to make women, we don't respect women and we think it's only them to be in the kitchen. I think that's what you guys are hearing. I think you guys are hearing us say that only women should be in the kitchen when we say boys playing with kitchen sets, since, you know, historically they've been marketed towards girls. And we know that our masculinity has been under attack. So maybe there's a little bit of hypersensitivity as far as that goes, because we do know that masculinity, especially black masculinity, has been under attack. That's why they went over after Dave Chappelle, because he dared say some things that bucked the trend of what the agenda has been. We do know that men wearing dresses are at an all-time high, or at least it's being on TV and projected at an all-time high. So maybe there's a little bit of that makes us kind of gravitate towards not staring at, or maybe perhaps as women, especially women who claim that, you know, especially single women will say, maybe it's possible that when it comes to the growth and development of boys, it's possible that we have a little bit more experience in that regards. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're saying. So I'm not really trying to like really make this too serious or disrespect. You know what I'm saying? It's really just a conversation that really could happen in your own home with what you feel is right. Right. So I'm not trying to imply or you know, and insert myself into what you guys do in that regards. I'm just saying, like, it's going to be a normal response for most men to say no. That doesn't seem like, nah. It's just going to be normal for us to say that, right? It doesn't mean, it doesn't imply anything that people are trying to apply. I know I'm clowning. I got the background, you know what I'm saying, with the kitchen set. I get it. And it's a little bit of trolling, you can say. But for real, like, you know, it doesn't have to be like that serious to where, you know, all of a sudden, anytime a man has a view that differs from a woman, it's only because we hate women. Like, this is like really what it's boiling down to when it comes to any of these conversations. Is for us to have a different opinion isn't because we're different in that regards. Like, you know, we have different interests or different ways of looking at things. That's the beauty in the balance of a male, female, man, woman relationship. We're not going to see things exactly the same. But give us the benefit of the doubt when it comes to boys and stuff, things that have to do with males and men. Just give us the benefit of the doubt that we may have an insight that is valid. Right? And we do know, can't be denied, that there has been a blurring of genderism, a blurring of what gender is, what gender roles are. There has been a blurring of these things. We have kids now that think they could be any gender they choose, or no gender. We're in a society where now men can use women's bathrooms because they say they feel like a woman. So the kitchen set is really not, almost non-material, but the bigger picture of why maybe some of us are like, let's draw the line somewhere, is because the line has been blurred. It's like there is no line anymore. Everything goes. So a kitchen set, no, it doesn't mean that your son's gonna grow up and be a homosexual. I don't even think any man on my post even said that. Nor did they say a man shouldn't be in the kitchen or should clean. These are things that some of you guys are throwing out there, but we haven't said these things. But if your big reason is it's going to make them chefs and cooks, I'm just saying that's probably not the case, because it didn't make you a chef or a cook. And I'm also saying, if you're saying the best cooks are men anyway, and we didn't need a kitchen set to get there, then maybe just teach your son how to cook, if that's their interest. what we're saying. So I just really kind of wanted to, I don't really have that much time. I kind of want to just test this mic out a little bit, have a little bit of fun. See, not too many people is responding, or at least I can't see the response if they are saying anything. So anyway, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going with the Blackistand Radio. I don't know what topic we're gonna do Saturday, but I encourage you guys all to call. I do appreciate the response I got last time, and we're gonna keep that rolling because I do think that it's important for us to have an organic black media, and we should be able to have all kinds of discussions like this and have actual productive discussions. You know, we can have our fun with it, but let's have some productive discussions. But let me just end it with the point of this kitchen set theory that it's gonna make these boys turn into Gordon Ramsays. Is there any evidence that Gordon Ramsay played with a kitchen set? I don't think so. Is that really how you learn to cook? I don't think so. Like, I get it. Like any toddler, especially like a little kid, we see, colorful and knobs and buttons and different things you could do. It's going to be something that's going to get their attention. What I'm saying is, if your reason is it's going to turn them into chef, that's probably not going to happen. And if you really think that your child has a yearning to learn how to cook and you know how to cook, just teach them how to cook. Put them in the kitchen and really teach them how to cook. Do it like that. You can't you can't buy an operation set and think you're going to turn your kid into a surgeon. You know what I'm saying? You're not, like, these toys aren't going to be what makes these children what they are, one way or another. So I'm saying, if that's your reason, if that's your argument, that's a moot point. It's not really, it's just not logical. It doesn't add up. And if men are already the best cooks, and we didn't have to use any damn kitchen set to get there, then maybe you should listen to our opinion when we're saying, nah, that's not going to get it. Because you're acting like that's the reason. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, you guys, I just wanted to just kind of mess around for a bit as I wait for my laundry to finish. Because men could do laundry too, right?